Hello gamers and welcome to another YouTube video. Today it's going to be a tank that many thought was going to be absolutely terrible, but in reality it is one of the top performers at tier 11 and I'm going to show you why. So I marked this tank in 75 battles, 68% win ratio, but the most important stats here are of course the DPG 6450, which is actually beating my other tier 11s outside of the BZ and tier 3, which are top performers but are also much less map dependent in a way, because if you get a big open map, Taschen is still a bit slow, even though it's not that slow at all. But the most important and the interesting statistic to look at is actually the armor use efficiency. Normally this is a very irrelevant stat, but on this tank you can actually read something out of it, because it gives you like an idea of the effective HP pool of the tank. So the Taschenratte by itself has about 4000 HP. If you count in the average blocking and you say 4500, potentially slightly elevated because of spike games with like more than 10k blocking, you say 4k. That means that a good Taschenratte player has 4000 HP, but he has an additional HP pool of another 4000. Giving him an effective HP in the battle of around 8000 HP, and that is pretty hard for any team to stop, especially if these would start getting played in like 3-man platoons of Taschenratte. If they're starting to shove, let's say, 20,000 effective HP in your face, it could be very, very potent, especially when we compare this to the mouse. The armor use efficiency here, 2.7, so very, very big increase from mouse towards Taschenratte in terms of upgrade potential. So when we go over and look at the mouse on a, well, not near perfect angle, but you can see we can still shoot for the mantlet nonetheless. We cannot shoot for the side anymore with 330 heat, which is about the average, like 320 to 330 is about the average gold pen, even for tier 11s, but the lower plate still stands out like a massive sore thumb in terms of, angling. And you'll always have something to shoot at and penetrate nonetheless. So for the Taschenratte, it kind of follows the same angling pattern as a mouse. However, it is allowing it to over-angle more. And when it's over-angling well, you also protect the lower plate. You can see that the lower plate is no longer a weak spot like it was with the mouse. There's of course still, the third is really well angled here, so you can see no longer penable. This is about 330, but when the Taschenratte would move as well at the same time, you still have this to shoot at, but this is not a convenient shot whatsoever, to be honest. Between the mouse and the Taschenratte, this armor is a lot more difficult to actually and properly hit, especially when he's moving, turning his turret left and right, making an angle, making the angle, and making it harder for you the entire time. So this armor, even though people are like, oh, the frontal armor is worse, is much better in actual effectiveness than the mouse. So the reason why I picked this Karelia is because it is actually a very effective showcase of the Taschenratte in general, and the way that the tank is played. I will say that this tank is a million times better than the mouse, especially because the gun doesn't feel as random as the mouse. If you've ever played the mouse, you will realize as well that the gun on the mouse can be very moody, I would say, where the guns or the shells are really like swinging everywhere, left, right, and center, and that this tank doesn't really have that. This tank's armor, combined with its HP pool, combined with its gun, and compounded with the auxiliary guns, which are actually very potent in a way as well, because they can also set tanks on fire. I think they can even amorag, they can really deal with low HP targets, and they can deal with stuff like FVs, leopards, anything that's pretty lowly armored. They can pen even heavy tanks that peek you sideways after you shoot your main gun. In general, the aux guns are way more effective than I thought they would be. I think on average, I'm doing about, I don't know, like I would say 500 to 1000 damage with them in a battle. But you can see here, I'm kind of always driving out as an idiot with this tank, simply because it just works. You can see there the aux gun actually gets a pen. That's 264 extra damage, so about half of my main gun. And when you're playing this tank, you need to learn kind of how to peek like a dumbass, I would say. The over-angling aspects, people still get baited by this, and they will continue to get baited by it, because it's very, they're very willing to shoot your side if you're exposing it. Kind of like a 257 in a way, where you peek as dumb as possible because it's just the way it works best. And you can see on this like medium range against the tanks in front of me, this armor works incredibly well. I mean, the KR1 gets a pen. Of course, you're not going to like not take any pens. And I think at this point I realized we're going to lose the hill at some point. I need to go back. So I unangle my armor towards the cano. He gets a shot. Another pen with the aux gun. That's another 245. So that's already 500 damage from just the HE guns. That's good statistic to keep in mind. Do a shot against the Type 5. And I think at this point we realize, oh, well, we are in trouble. And we somehow need to go back. So I think I said we have a plan. And the plan at this point is to literally take the Taschen and get out of here again while trying to keep a good angle. So I'm pretty sideways against him. Backing off. I'm already at 4.5k blocking as well on top of it. Bouncing a lot of shots though, sadly. I've got the aux guns again as well. Always trying to aim for something that's a little bit weaker with the aux guns as well to do more damage. And looking behind me to the corner and seeing how I can angle to get safe again. Type bouncing, KR1 bouncing. Sure, they don't have the world's most accurate guns, but you can see that the Taschenratte armor is actually very effective in my opinion. Of course, you know, I'm on an angle there again for a second, but it gives an opportunity to the cano to shoot that. We got the Type a shot, but you know, quick and easy, 7.5k blocking. The Type decides to shoot the KR1 because he simply doesn't want to shoot us anymore. We get a shot against the side because he hits a rock. But yeah, playing this tank is pretty easy playing a Taschen because you got such a high HP pool that, you know, because you're mainly playing against tier 10s, you're always top tier. It's pretty effective, but to excel in it is a bit harder and requires you to exploit those angles. The gorilla is so sad that he stopped even shooting normal ammo. For some reason, my repair broke there for a second, but it's all good. We killed the Type. We do some damage to the KR1, so that's some more auxiliary gun damage. I think we're about 800 HP in right now in terms of auxiliary gun damage as well. We're 8k blocking in as well. And you can just see how much this KR1 is really struggling against this. That's a bad shot with heat actually. Should have intuition to APCR. But especially on these like medium ranges, this armor is very effective. But again, it's effective to the point where they can pen you, they will pen you, but you're supposed to trade effectively in that period. So when they are on reload, because they all shot you, you're supposed to be able to effectively trade during that, which I guess is the difficulty. So another 130 from the aux guns, and yeah, like the aux guns damage, it stacks up, to be honest. Like I said, over the long course of a battle, like I said, it's about 500 to 1,000 damage, I think, on just auxiliary damage. And the funny part about it is indeed still the fact that it can set people on fire. You know, if you hit the fuel tank with the main gun and then shoot HE at it, in a lot of scenarios, you're actually going to end up setting it on fire again, which is just a very interesting thing. We derailed the AS there, but yeah, that's 7.5k damage, 10k blocking, almost 11k blocking, and a pretty effective game of taking on numerous opponents by ourselves almost. We used the aux gun actually to kill the gorilla, so we still have our main gun to shoot the can opener. And like I said, these aux guns are far more effective than I ever thought they would be, and give more damage in general than I would have expected actually to come out. And some people thought this tank would be useless. Some people said that this tank would be worse than a mouse. I think the reality of the situation is a lot different, where the Taschenratte is actually a very good tank and is very potent in World of Tanks in its current state. So welcome to Tundra. This is a full tier 10, tier 11 battle. The only downside sometimes about playing the Taschenratte is that you will be matched against BZ79, because BZ79 I think is also classed as super heavy. I think it works that way. I'm not sure. Could be wrong. Let me know. But yeah, Tundra, not the greatest map for the Taschenratte, to be honest. So we decided to go towards 1-2 line because going hill with this tank is not the greatest, to be honest. Right, a little bit too slow. The BZ-79 and others will take it long before I ever get there. You gotta be careful when you're driving towards 1-2 line. Many people drive through the open when going there. You want to go through the dip, like you see our tanks here do. We have a little bit of a split. Not really committing on one, not really committing on the other. Not the hill, not the 1-2 line either. But this tank has quickly become, you know, one of the most potent tier 11s, I think, really up there with others like the BZ-79 and the tier 3. But like I said, I think the main power of this tank will actually be really in triple platoons, because if you have like 3 decent or even good players in a triple platoon of these, and they're all blocking about half their HP and damage to, like, let's say 3k, that's 9k of blocking and 12k HP. That's 21,000 effective HP being shoved into you. This is a, you know, I crest here to try and get a shot. I see the Leopard 120. Bam, bam, bam. That's the beauty. So we hit the fuel tanks with the main gun, and then we set it on fire with the aux guns, burning him down for 1600 damage in a quick volley. The beauty of the Taschenratte in a very, very quick and beautiful scenario. Those lowly armored tanks really struggle against the Taschen, as it just eats them alive, to be honest. Leos, FVs, all of that sort of stuff. It's just very good for the Taschen to play against them. It's a quick 1600 damage, spot out the 1-to-1, give him a shot. And my teammates are flanking from 1-2 line. This Udas decides to go for it, actually, which is, you know, not the worst play on his part, because, you know, I'm a tall tank, so I have troubles depressing my gun that low. I get one... No, I don't get any pence on the double HC there. But I still get 200 out of it, and now the dancing begins. We can pen this, not a problem. 1-to-1B on one, Udas on the other. In this scenario, you always try to eliminate one of the 2 angles, because you cannot block against 2 angles anyways. So you focus on killing one. The I-7 comes in with a little ram to save me. Thank you, Mr. I-7. And 4k damage for 1, but the enemy controls the hill still, and we all know how powerful the hill is. The Grilla biting the dust, and then we spot out the can opener making a play. And I think with this aux we missed twice. Can openers are pennable. I think the aux stats is like 250 alpha and 80 HE pen, which should be surprised how many times that can actually pen. Like 80 pen is really not that bad. Like sights and asses are actually very pennable by this. There's a gorilla coming in. We intuition HE. 8 actors, 649. Not too shabby whatsoever. Might get one against the can opener as well, who's, you know, just your average. I picked the tank for free and now I'm playing it. Tourist. We'll give him a little bit of damage. Sadly, he gets around the corner. We won't get anything else against him. And you can see the game is still kind of evening out though. It's 7-5. It's going to be 8-5 in a second here. But with them controlling the hill, they are able to do a tremendous amount of damage to my tanks on the lower side. Bringing this game a lot more even than it was seemingly at first. We will, however, move back towards the hill. The 432 gets spotted out. Make a shot on the move. I'm not really expecting to connect that. And, I mean, even for a super heavy, the Taschen really is not that slow. You know, going 20 plus. We will hit a stunner here against the BZ, I think, at some point. If I'm not mistaken, or maybe not. But again, a little bit of extra damage from the auxiliaries. You will again say that, oh my god, 100 damage is nothing. But you do 100 damage 5 or 6 times in a battle, that's already 600 in terms of my DPG. That's 10% of my DPG just from, you know, aiming my HE guns at them and shooting. And in this battle, we already got fire out of it as well, which was 1k. So we're up to, I don't know, 1 to 1.5k damage in this battle from just auxiliary guns adding towards that. So, like I said, this tank is actually very, very potent, and it's very funny when it was previewed that people said this is one of the worst, you know, like the mouse is better turret armor, and then, you know, after playing it, I think we can tell that this is completely untrue, and this is miles better than a mouse, to be honest. And it's a very, very fun tank, and would recommend to get it as well. It's yeah, it's just really fun. And the good thing about this tank, yeah, open maps are bad, but in general, even like compared to a Theater 3, you also have the advantage that there a lot of maps you are less position dependent, right? You do not need to look for some hold down position to play from. You don't need to sit in a specific spot for your tank to work. You have a lot of possibilities to just kind of play in areas and make it work. And these guys, you know, are struggling because even at this point, you know, I'm below half HP, but that's still 1600 health points. Right, I might be below half, but it's still very, very hard for them to kill me. Bounce the Contriever Cupola there. Okay. Was a good shot though, but you cannot hit them all. And I think this Contriever is going to feed us a little bit in this battle, if I'm not mistaken. The BZ seems to be the potent player here, so this shot is very important because, you know, he's up to 4 kills already. He has XD in his nickname, and you know anybody with XD in their nickname is immediately a gamer, but 8.5k damage. Missing the Contriever again. Okay. It's fine. But you can see how I'm always peeking on an angle to make sure to like bait him into shooting the lower plate, bait him into shooting the side. Give them shots, but don't give them good enough shots to really pen. Basically what you want to do is you want to distract them from even thinking about shooting the turret. Because, believe it or not, a lot of players won't think about shooting the turret when they get to see your side or when they get to see your lower plate. Even though, yeah, the turret is weak, they see a side that they think they might pen, they're going to shoot. They see a lower plate, they think they can pen, they're going to shoot. So as long as you give them something like that, in a lot of scenarios, they will not be smart enough to think about shooting the turret. And this guy, over and over, keeps trying to shoot the lower plate. He's not making it work. We got 10k out of this. The 432 peaks. We're still at a good angle, and you can see how much he's struggling to find a shot. He's looking, but he cannot find it. At this point, I'm pretty afraid of the BZ actually flanking me because he has been despotted for a while. So if I'm the BZ, I'm going around trying to flank. This was a banger though. 11,111 damage out of it as well. And there's that BZ flank that we were expecting. Nonetheless, we were expecting. We still take a shot of damage from anyways, but we put down the Contriever. 11.4. Pretty solid damage out of this. And I don't know if we get the BZ, but you could see it's a very potent game for the Taschen. What we could see in this game was effective usage of angling, making the enemy shoot spots they don't want to shoot. Effective usage of the auxiliary guns, and just effective use of the gun in general, and pretty good trading. So a pretty potent replay from a pretty potent tank. B, thank you for resubbing. Appreciate that, big man. Thank you. How you doing, bro? It does 940 HP ever finish? It finishes slowly, but when it does, it releases a big load. 3 guys dead. Both my lights and the rest of my team soon to follow. EBR killed everybody. Unbalanced spawn. 2. You are not lying. Dude, I did it, guys. I set him on fire. 10k? Yeah, we're missing a 10 Taschenratte, so... Would be cool. $10k bit early, homie, bit early. I would have gotten the 700 from the thingy there? Yeah, sure, the gorilla. But I could have gotten that actually. Oh my god, I'm so lucky with that one actually. He could have actually pinned me. $15 or bust, I need you like God needs the devil. Okay. Then it is. Yeah, like I said, it's pretty cool because I didn't have 10 on this yet, I think, so. I see the OHM actually as well, yeah. I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm fucking dead. Actually dead. Pull that from me. You stole my future. Thank you, my man. What's the time now? 6:20. Let's do at least an hour of standing, eh? Not really surprised at all, no, Claudia. Yorkshire Ace, my man. Thank you very much for the 5 very, very big ones. But it's gonna have some Daki love from my boy Yorkshire Ace. Thank you, bro. Go after that? Yeah, we're alright. Thank you, Yorkshire. Could have been better, but, you know. Thank you, mister. Just to encourage the standing. So their shells. What is the APCR pin of an MBTB again? Okay, enough apparently. I should have tried, bro. Another can opener, bro. Always a fucking can opener, isn't it? I thought you guys said that I do not like the can opener. Did you say such things? Oh, weird. And let it be known, I do not like the can opener. Oh, the tiger's on the desk already. In my element. In my element. See, standing up and he's standing or I'm tripping, I'm standing. In these long marathons, we have to take care of our ass. We're gonna do this for 4 months, we better make sure that we make it through the 4 months. Although I kind of enjoy standing, so it's okay. My fellow WOT streamers could take an example to my standing gameplay, you know? It almost robbed us from us. It almost robbed us. There's a building in the way. Fitness influencer, real. Fitness influencer. Yeah, something like that. Not too shabby, huh? Doing one here to see you now. As always, gamers, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the very next one. Peace.